Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Kezia Nicole, and we are back with another episode of Parents Out the Mud. I am super amped today because, listen, for those of you that know and those of you that don't, my background is in finance. Now, I ain't all things finance. You got to miss me with the taxes and you got to miss me with the wealth management, the life insurance, but give me anything lending. Okay. I can do some lending. Your girl, as a mortgage underwriter, I can do some lending. But I am super excited because I have a special guest that's going to get all y'all tax lives together. Okay. And so I need y'all to make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure you go to Parents Out the Mud and make sure y'all go onto my website and get one of these Moto bottles. If you're not feeling great, you need to be feeling great. Okay. And if you don't, you just need to liquefy your positive affirmations. I want you to get one of these Moto bottles and I want you to put some water in it. And I want you to just think of all of the positive things and liquefy your positive affirmations. So you can go to parentsoutthemud.com, get, your nice little Moto bottle and drink water. You know what I'm saying? Hydrate. That's how we do it. But let's get to it. I'm gonna bring into the studio Mr. Larry Pendleton, the number one investors CPA. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Keisha, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I am doing wonderful. I'm so grateful that you took time out of your schedule to come see all of our parentpreneurs out there and just be a blessing to them, especially those parentpreneurs that want to be investors. Because I hear people all the time through, Young Investors Group. How can you teach me? I want to learn. And so if they just stay tuned to this episode, they'll get a chance to learn. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly. So today we are talking about hacks, wealth building as busy parents. It's really hard, Larry, to balance business and family. And then you tend to neglect those things, such as preparing for taxes is dreadful. At the end of the year, as a parentpreneur, as a business owner. But before we get started, I always like to ask all of my guests the number one question that represents this podcast, Parents Out the Mud. For you transitioning, because I'm sure at one point you worked in corporate America. What was the defining moment that you found like you got it out the mud? Whether it's like the mental challenges of like making that transition from being a full-time employee to starting your own business and managing your family.
It probably was when I decided to leave corporate America, and she was in 2018 or no 2020, 2019, somewhere in there. I have to look it back up because I could have left sooner, but I always had that mental excuse of I got this safety net. But I had the business. I still running my own business. Had a full time job, running a separate real estate business, and then having a family. It just kind of became too much. So I had to make a choice at that point, and then knowing that I can actually see my way through the timing of it, because it was about October of that year that I decided to leave, because I was going to roll into tax season knowing I can make up any funds if I had to pull money out elsewhere to get through the holiday season, get through the winter months, but knowing that I got my big income period was coming there. So I would say, like, once I decided to truly like leave and focus solely on the businesses that I was running.
Nice. And I know that sometimes there's a feeling of like nervousness, right? Like that gut feeling. Cause for most, men with families, like they are majority of the time the breadwinner. And so that had to be like some type of like um emotional challenges. Can you share a little bit about like what that was like for you?
Yeah, fortunately, like I said, my wife Whitney, like she has a full time job as well, and her job already had better benefits than like the job that I have. So we already had that made that transition of being on her company's insurance. So that was a big piece of it there. I still had some funds saved up, whereas okay, she didn't have to fully. take the full load, but there was a period that she helped support me during that period, and I'm always grateful for that, and to get things back into balance because we typically try to treat our household as kind of equal grounds of what's done inside, what's the finances, and everything else as well.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really important to have that support, but and I'm sure that even with having that, there's still like a young man who's starting a family and starting a business. I'm sure, we're a little seasoned, I don't say old cuz ain't that old about me, but in this seasoned moment in our lives, sometimes we can manage our emotions a little better or manage our stressors a little better than we were when we were younger. And so any parentpreneurs out there that's making that transition that may not have that support, sometimes we have to learn how to, deal with that, especially when, bills are coming and is like you said, that safety net isn't there. How many little ones do you have?
Two,
Two. Yes, yes, yes. What are the genders?
both boys, ages 8 and 5.
And they, oh wow, so they're probably playing sports and stuff now, huh? Or at least
Yep,
one of them.
yep, they're both getting different activities that they find show interest in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that has to be really that's a lot, I'm sure. Practice what on the weekends and during the week, or the games?
Yeah, it could be games, could be practices. Like I said, it's really having to make like figure out, not trying to force them into anything.
Hmm.
Uh, but like if they show interest in something, we try to expose them to many things, and then just lean on what they actually enjoy doing based off their personalities and whatnot. But yeah, it's like trying to balance that and school, after school care, all that stuff. Yeah, it's a bit of a juggling act.
Now, what does that look like during tax season? Come on, lay it out, Larry. Lay it out. What that schedule looking like?
Yeah, I mean, it's fortunately, like, when it first started, yeah, there's a lot of late nights, working to midnight and getting up at 3, and because I still wanted to make sure there was some balance in the house itself, of, like, doing my part, even though I may just disappear evenings at a time. But and that's where we had to have kind of a serious conversation with myself as well as Whitney of, okay, how do I need to kind of restructure this in a way and really have to build the business in a way where I'm not so much in the weeds all the time. The type of clients that we brought in, our pricing structure, how many clients that we can take on, how many people we want to hire. From that standpoint, I tell people all the time, like, my competition is not H&R Block or Liberty Tax. Maybe for anyone that just need basic tax returns, like, those are great resources, or you can do it yourself. But like, that's not for me. I'm not trying to do this on a greater volume. I much rather focus on quality and the phrase, like, do you want to make a dollar with 4 quarters or 100 pennies? Like,
Right.
as I want to spend less time doing this, but more but more direct and more have more quality to what I'm doing, not just pumping out tax returns. So
Yeah.
schedule's a bit better. Like, it's still tough. Obviously, you get close to a deadline, and a lot of early mornings, late nights, but manageable, per se, with the team and the type of clientele that we're working with.
For sure, for sure. And it sounds like that you got your business model to fit your lifestyle. So that's super important for anybody that's, any students out there that are accounting students and, want to go to be a CPA, I would imagine. What advice would you have given your 20-year-old self with the experience that you have now?
Find a niche that you want to help support, and then find ways of be of value with that niche.
Excellent.
I tell people, like, no one really cares about their tax return. Like,
Hmm.
they want to save on taxes, but if they didn't have to file a tax return, then they really,
They
the
would.
value in what we do is really in the consulting advisory services. So if you can pick a niche and they can help people learn how to save taxes within that, then you have the choice of providing a more of advisory level and tax prep instead of just tax prep services, and people just, like, just really just going off the who's the best price, because like there's very little value. You can almost just give away the
Yeah,
tax prep services, but you can really gauge, you can really scale your business a bit better in the way you want, in the way it fits what you want with the advisory services.
for sure, for sure. Now that brings me to my next question, because you got like parentpreneurs out there, and parentpreneurs are pretty much entrepreneurs who are parents, and they're having to manage their family and their business. What would you say the top three mistakes that parentpreneurs make in their business when they're trying to become investors? And what would you say they could do to avoid them?
First and foremost is really bookkeeping, getting their numbers in order. Not the sexiest thing to talk about or people want to do, is probably just as worse as people doing their taxes, but you have to know your numbers. You have to be able to effectively know how much money is coming in, how much money is coming out. Not saying it has to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but if you don't know that, then you're basically at the whim of not be able to get financing for certain loans, and even overpaying on taxes because you're not tracking your expenses properly at that
Right,
point.
right.
So that's always the number one thing, because it's such low value for people, or people see it as low value, but it's very important. How you how to mitigate that is to really ask, like, find the help that fits you, like whether there's using the software,
Mhm.
or going with a virtual assistant. Like I said, there are companies that provide that service, and just find out what's the best, what's your budget and what you can really take on based on the amount of volume that you're doing. Like, you didn't start your business to be an accountant. You should
Mhm.
know your numbers, but I don't know any successful business that doesn't have some type of accounting person or accounting department.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, that's a really good point that you made on, especially on the lending side. So can you share, can we dive a little deeper into that, as far as like the top things that lenders look at in on a text, like that you have had to prepare for your for your investor clients?
yeah, so obviously lenders looking at your debt to income ratio, and they want to validate your income with your tax return.
Mhm.
So part of, like, really number two, the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is they want to just write off everything
Mm.
and not understand the sense of doing that and not pay taxes. But then you provide this your tax return to your lender, and they see, well, you're not making any income from your business. You
Mhm.
still have a W two. They can probably rely on that. But if your business is breaking even or showing a loss, like, that's going to impact the type of loan, how much of a loan you're able to receive. So it's being mindful, like, it's a give or take, and you're trying to assess where, like, hey, not all deductions are created equal. Like, okay, if
Mhm.
I have something more of a bigger asset that'll help your business, then you can use certain tax strategies with that, that should not, I'll say should not, because I have to talk to banks about certain things should not be considered as an expense on your
Mhm.
tax return, because
Mhm.
there are tax deductions that will lower your taxable income, but it may not be out of pocket expenses. But
What's
how that
But what's the way to do both though? Like, isn't there a way to like not have to pay a lot in taxes and prepare your taxes for, to show a good enough profit?
And that's where you're having to buy assets. So whether it's vehicles, equipment,
Mhm.
rental properties, where you're not buying those items straight cash,
Okay.
you're most likely using debt to buy those items.
Mhm.
But on your tax return, you're able to report the whole purchase price, and you may only be able to write off a percentage of it. And that's where we
Mhm.
talk about depreciation and whatnot. But depreciation is not an operational expense, it's a tax deduction because of this asset that you bought, and it's used to help reduce your taxable income. And really a lot with the wealthy use in order
Mhm.
to save on taxes that way. So it's not about, hey, I need to buy all these different things. Okay, if you
Right.
buy the right things and,
Mhm.
and leverage properly, then you're able to get the write-offs, save on taxes, and still be able to show tax, like show income that your business is profitable.
Yeah. Yeah, and so when getting into, so you seen investor tax return, like beginner investors and, like, the investors that got all the guap, you know what I'm saying? They got they big boy investors. Um what strategy that would you recommend, like a beginner investor to do to get to that level? Is there anything that they can do as far as the way that they um manage their taxes to get to I guess, like a higher level as an investor?
It really is all case by case because there's no one box because there's certain things within the tax code itself you have to be willing to either spend money on or spend time doing.
Mhm.
Um, like one thing that's real been popular these past 5 years since the 2017 tax changes is short-term rentals and
Mhm.
being able to buy rental properties. And you may not be a real estate professional to claim certain losses, but if you're getting these short-term rental and you materially participating with it or actively running the property, you're able to use the potential losses that property generates to offset other income on your tax return.
Right.
But that's not a one size fits all because you have to be willing to put the time in into running the property in order for those benefits. You're talking about at least 750 hours, or I'm sorry, 500 hours a year. If you got other people involved, you can probably do less if you're running everything yourself.
Mhm.
But do you have the bandwidth, especially if you're a parent and running a business and you got a job? Do you got the bandwidth to prove that you are actively involved to activate those losses on your tax return? So that's I mean that's one of the ways. There's okay, if you're willing to do that, then that option is there.
Now I got a lot of kids, Larry, and I need them to be employees. Can you share with me and our parentpreneurs out there, how can we benefit tax wise in our business off our babies?
Yeah, so you're really an aspect of you mentioned you treat them as employees. Now, if they're under the age of 17 and the work they're doing for you is primarily for just your business, you're not required to withhold FICA taxes or anything like that, and then you can pay them and get a deduction for your business. Now, if you pay them if you pay them less than $14,000 for 2024, they don't have to file federal tax returns. But we're in Virginia. Virginia has a lower standard deduction, which I believe is about six or $8,000. I can't think the exact number in my head. I think it's eight. But if you're paying them up to the 14,000, but more than Virginia, then they have to file Virginia tax returns. Now, would they owe taxes? They all kind of depend. Like maybe depend how much you pay them. Maybe not.
Mhm.
But even if they did, overall, the tax burden on the family as a whole is a lot lesser because they're at a lower tax bracket
Mhm.
than you as the parent. Like they're not in those higher tax brackets.
Right.
But that's how you shift income from yourself to your kids by getting them involved, whether they're involved in marketing,
Mhm.
even if they're just like modeling for your business or for your properties. If
Mhm.
they're involved with your social media, if they're doing anything, cleaning up the office, your home office or any office that you're working your business off, or
Mhm.
they helping if you're running a lawn care business and they part of cutting the grass, stuff like that. Long obviously child labor laws needs to be taken into account.
All right.
Uh, uh,
Listen,
yeah.
listen. If it was labor laws that have to govern over my household, Lord Jesus, I've been in trouble. Well, I be having these kids in here the way they now is it? It ain't no labor laws, but can we get kids destroying the house laws? Like there should be like a minimum of no.
I'll let you talk to your attorney about that.
That's not my circus, not my monkeys. That's what's up. All right, so I got one more question. So, we have a lot of parentpreneurs who children have businesses. Um, would you recommend that if a child is under the age of 18, that they get an EIN and an LLC, and how does that impact the parent? Can you speak to that?
Well, you're more talking from a legal standpoint. If
Okay.
you if okay, how it's going to impact the parent from a I guess from a legal in
Well,
the
from a
legal sense.
tax standpoint, because
But tax wise, LLCs do not help you save on taxes, like as they are. Like I can sell pins and I can sell them under Larry Pendleton, just my name, and
Mhm.
whatever income I make, I still gotta report that. But whatever expenses I incur, I can report those as well. The LLC primary purpose is to mitigate your liability and
Mhm.
your legal risk with running the company. There is a time where LLC may be converted into a corporation, an
Right.
S corp or a C
Mhm.
corp, but
Mhm.
there's a time and a place to it. And if you're netting less than $50,000 a year, it doesn't really make sense to do so because you got different compliance costs. You got to file separate tax returns. So
Mhm.
you have to make sure that whatever that you're implementing, that the tax savings outweigh the cost of whatever strategy that you're doing.
Well, I'm talking about if your child, right? If one of your sons started a business, right?
Hmm.
Would you put that business under him or would you put that business under you? So like,
I
would
mean,
you
I'll put the business under if it's his business, then it's going to be underneath him. Now,
well,
if it's
like
something that's going to be
as an 8-year-old, do he file taxes with his business? Like how does that work?
if he makes a certain amount of income over say standard deduction, or he's making what's considered self-employment income, he would have to file taxes. So you always have to be cautious of the type of income that they're making,
Mm.
and if it's going to be, or and how are they paid from that standpoint. Because like I said, they could be, there could be tax implications even at a young at the age of 8 if they're paid a certain way. Which if I tell parents, like, don't 1099 your kids, because you will be subjecting them to self-employment taxes.
Ooh.
So you are potentially, you're treating them like W-2 employees, but they're not required to have taxes withheld if they're primarily, if they're working for, if the business they're working for is mommy or daddy's
Yeah,
business.
but a lot of times you got a lot of parents out here, they kids starting businesses, right? And I know we got to go soon, but that is something that we really need to dig into because I see a lot of parents who children have businesses. So I'm like wondering what that's going to look like
Yeah.
from a tax standpoint, you
Yeah,
know.
so if those kids are receiving earned income, or they're receiving 1099s, like those kids would, like I said, depending on what taxes are being withheld, if any, and if they're doing what type of deductions that they have, like
Because
they
it's not
would.
the parents that's running the business, it's the kids that's running the business. So I didn't
Yeah,
know. I thought you had to be like 18 to file taxes, but I guess you can be 8 to file
yeah,
taxes
yeah,
on business.
yeah. Like I said, there are tax implications, and you about kitty taxes and all that that do play a factor if the kids are making a certain amount of income, or the type of income that they're making. So it's just being cautious with that, so that you're not blindsided if you're having to report.
Well, guys, listen, I we could talk all day long about this subject. I know Larry could, and so I am so grateful to have you here. What's next for you? Is there anything that's coming up? Can where can people find you? What you gave so many, you dropped so many jewels. Like now, people are gonna probably be DMing you. So what kind of tell everybody like what you got going on?
Yeah, so you can catch me on my landing page, the investor CPA .com. All my social media feeds. I'm Larry Pendleton CPA on Instagram, Larry Pendleton, and on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. Probably gonna end up changing those pretty soon, but like I said, try to make myself easy to find from that standpoint. And I'll be some other podcasts down the road that will potentially be posting in the near future as well. Also, potential clothing line as well, and start to kind of get some merchandise out there, and just kind of help different ways to inform people of just financial literacy, and keeping that front of mind there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you are on the board of Young Investors Group. Shout out, shout out. Bum, 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 bum. So we are so grateful, guys. He is really impacting the community with his education, educating people on financial literacy, educating people on their taxes. So connect with him. Make sure you go to his Instagram, connect with him on LinkedIn, go to his website. Stay tuned because I feel like deep down inside that you have some amazing things going on. And last but not least, you are one of the beards in business that will be celebrating on November 17th. We'll be celebrating you on November 17th. I wish I had like one of those buttons that have like the crowd cheering, but we are super excited. So guys, don't forget to go ahead and get your tickets to attend Beards in Business calendar reveal. That's going to be on November 17th. And did you have anything else to share with the people? Anything you want to share?
No, just understand that, I mean, building passive income and saving on taxes like is a team sport, and I understand people want to go on YouTube University and go on social media, which are good resources to start with. But I see a lot of mistakes made, and it's always good to get a second opinion on what someone just kind of give a 30-second blip on, and see how can you act effectively implement certain things to build your family wealth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Larry, for joining us. And guys, we're gonna run a quick video where we're gonna it's a quick video for the beard our 2021 calendar beard reveal.
Hello, I'm Business D. Willis.
My name is Eric Castano.
My name is Daryl Davis.
My name is Elon.
My name is Ashford Gay. And I'm Chris, the Alkaline Man, Family Springs, Natural Teaching Alkaline Water.
Love beers. That's why we're here. And then the third reason we're here is a party with a purpose for an amazing nonprofit organization, Young Investors Group, whose mission is to help our young black teens avoid the prison pipeline for financial education. How many of us want our young black teens to avoid that prison pipeline?
This is my third or fourth year in the Young Investors calendar beard event.
I came to be involved with the group in the initial Young Investors photo shoot over at the Hampton Road helipad. I've been working with her ever since then. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be working with her up until this point.
And I love what she's doing because she is getting the young African American men out the streets, helping them fight their cases, finding them places to stay, helping them get into college and stuff of that nature.
I had an amazing time. I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. And what Kizzy is doing is something similar to what I've been a part of growing up, which is working with the young investors, bringing information to the kids to give them tools to basically be able to learn, give them a different aspect of what entrepreneurship looks like from the inside out.
All right, y'all. That was a quick little commercial of Virginia Beard Festival calendar reveal 2021. Guys, don't forget to go to virginiabeardfestival.com to get your tickets. Larry is going to be one of the models. It could have an amazing group of men that are giving back to the community, not just through time, but also resources and access to information. Guys, we will see you next time. Parents Out the Mud. Make sure you stay tuned, and yeah, peace and light.